I'm working on the end pieces for the cylinder here. One of the first things I notice is that I got too much copper. Once this is the right size, that's difficult to show here, it's not going to fit. So I double checked my measurements and everything, and it should be right. So what I'm probably going to do is notch this so it can go a hair further. We got room for about maybe a 32nd of an inch on both sides. And that should be more than enough to make up for that overlap. Well, after a couple passes with the spindle sander to just give me a hair more here, and kind of cutting a slight taper on all the edges so I could slide the end on, I was able to get it in. So with the distance of just getting it a little further in there and widening the hole just slightly. This remake of the displacer, I'm going to have just two connectors, one from each side on the new displacer cylinder to feed the air to the central point. So these will be bigger, wider, and less points for failure as well, though. Now that it's cut in 3 layers, I'm going to do just like I did before. Seal the interior grain with the wood glue, which, while the wood glue isn't particularly heat resistant, the temperatures within this should never be that hot, so it's not that big of a concern. So I'm going to seal it, glue it all back together, and cut out the final shape. Finished making the side attachments. That will of course go on the side here. I haven't cut the holes yet, but that's pretty minor. Now I'm making the part that's going to go on top. I'm going to do it in a similar way, cut it into 3 layers. Once again, on the previous model I used basswood, but here I'm using aspen. So I have the pieces here. Once again, I'll seal the grain in here. I'm going to just glue the layers together. We got our finished top piece and our 2 side connectors. That's going to end up getting glued on. I'm going to glue on the side of the cylinder like that, put it on the top like this. Now, what I'm going to do first though is I'm going to paint it. I've been experimenting with this high heat enamel paint. It's good to 1,000 degrees, which is far hotter than we want to get wood anyway. It actually makes a fairly good glue if I wanted to experiment with that, but in this case I'm not actually just going to use it to kind of seal the grain on the outside and give it a more durable finish than the wood itself. So we'll paint these guys up and kind of sand and fit them together afterwards. The black paint came out looking relatively nice, and I baked it for a little bit. That's really what sets the paint, this higher temperature grill or stove enamel. It shrinks down so it still fits. So now I'm going to work on the side panels. I need to cut in my holes. I think I'll paint those black as well. So depending on how thick your blade was when you cut these pieces, you have to then kind of line this up and make sure the width matches, so that you don't make it too big, you don't have too much to build up. I typically use a number 5 blade to cut almost everything, but in this case where it's thinner and I don't want much mess on the other side, I'm hoping this number 2 blade works out a little cleaner. A little bit to trim off, but one came out pretty good. See if it fits. Oh, perfect fit. We have it, sides are painted black with their holes. This is on. It's just a dry fit at this point. Everything fits together pretty good. We got our top piece here. The plan is basically I'm going to use silicone caulk to put the end pieces and the copper pieces in, but then this attachment from the sides up to the top I'm going to use higher temp epoxy like a JB Weld, or actually that. The parts that are going to touch the copper, I'm going to still use the high temp ultra copper silicone, just because it's non-reactive with the metals. But for the other parts I'm going to use just straight up silicone caulk. Now this was a very tight fit, but once you put the caulk on, it kind of acts like a lubricant and you can slide it together pretty easy then. Just something to keep in mind, that even when it's a really tight fit, it can ease the effort a bit. I'm going to just put a bead along the top edge and bottom edge. Because my intent is to pretty much coat the entire end with silicone, I'm just going to do the parts on the middle right now. Then later on I'll force it into the cracks and gaps when I do the whole kind of gasket coating of the end. I've glued on the sides with the epoxy. It's filled the spaces very well. It should provide an excellent seal. At this point I'm going to make a break in the video. It's getting kind of long, so thanks for watching, and I hope you come back, see the next step.